All right. Well, welcome. Hello, friends who are joining us live. We are back here with the Men and Masculine Folks Network with our live kitchen table conversation series, where we are shaping new meanings of masculinity that are authentic, caring, and thoughtful. So, we are very happy to have a wonderful guest star here joining us today. Happy to be back with Dex and Felix, and we're just so glad that you are able to join us. For those who are able to join live, or if you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much. We really love to connect with all of our viewers, and we would love to be able to deepen that. As you're watching. So we would love for folks to, as we usually say, join in. If you're watching us live right now, feel free to share your thoughts and your comments as our conversation gets going here. And we'll try to bring those questions and comments into our conversation because we want you to be a part of it. Yes, so we are very excited and happy to welcome our special guest star for today, Phoeun You. We're very excited to have him join us and very much, looking forward to hearing more about your story, however much you want to share with us in this time. I know 60 minutes really flies by once we get these conversations going. So, very excited to have you join us. And I know there's probably a little bit of a time difference. So I'm not sure what time it is for you right now, but again, thank you for making the time and joining us. And yeah, so I will start off with introducing myself. My name is Sean Hayes, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. And I am coming to all of you from Duluth, Minnesota, where it is a heat wave for us up in northern Minnesota. I think it's supposed to be 84 degrees today, and I am sweating, but very excited to be a part of this conversation. And so let me hand it over to Felix.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felix Martinez. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I'm reporting from Dakota Land here in Eagan. I work for Esperanza United as the Engaging Men and Boys Program Specialist. Super excited to be here to hear a little bit about your story and, yeah, just to hopefully answer questions from the audience. So it'll be fun. So, yeah, super happy to be here. Thank you. I'll pass it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dex Santillan. He, him, his pronouns. I'm actually in Roseville today, doing a little house and dog sitting. And yes, we're in this heat wave. And yeah, excited to be here for this conversation.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. My name is Phoeun You, and I'm calling in from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. It is now midnight, a little over 12:05. So it is late for me, but hey, this is part of the sacrifice I decided to make, and I'm here now and excited to be with you guys. And hopefully, I can, shed some light on my situation and my life and my past.
Awesome. So it is, it's a late night. So we do appreciate your time and for working with our time change over here. But yeah, again, very excited that we were able to get connected. For those of you who've been watching our kitchen table conversations, you may have seen a previous episode where we had invited a guest who was an author and speaker and activist, Karen Nance, who had written a book that we had invited her on to share about. And then just I think it was maybe a month or two ago, Karen had reached out and then introduced us with you, Phoeun. And just very excited to hear more. And so, maybe just to start us off, we usually kind of just give folks some time to share a little bit about their story, whatever feels relevant for this conversation. I always think of my boss and friend, Sarah Curtis, says, you can mind your depth in what you share here today. So we're not asking anyone to just share every raw moment, but just whatever feels good for you. And then we'll just see where the conversation takes us from there.
All right. So, let me step in and again introduce myself. My name is Phoeun. Like I've mentioned, I'm now in Phnom Penh, California. I'm in California, Cambodia. Um, so after 25 and a half years of prison incarceration, I've just been deported to Cambodia. I just finished serving a life sentence, and I'm here starting a new life and going through ups and downs and trying to figure what my next move is going to look like. Very interesting life events that I'm dealing with. You know what I mean? Trying to adjust to this new world. There's a language barrier. There's a cultural barrier. There's just all kind of difference that I don't know. I'm just not used to. I mean, my only ties to this country is just being born here. So I've lived all my life in the U.S. I mean, I was born here, and when the war happened, we fled our country in '75, and we stayed in a Thailand refugee camp for 4 years, and then we went to America. So basically, I lived in this country for 1 year and been away since. And now, after 25 plus years, I've been sent back. Um, According to U.S. laws, I've committed a crime and I'm not a U.S. citizen, therefore I'm deportable. And that's what happened. And I'm here. It's now been almost a year, next month. And um, there's, like I said, there's struggles, there's ups and downs. I mean, right now I'm looking for work and been having some issues a little bit having with work. And I don't know if they do a background check or what, but it's hard to find work here. And as far as my prison is concerned, my crime, I've committed a first degree murder for on a drive-by shooting, and one person was killed, and I paid my debt to society and was earned. Uh, I was deemed suitable for parole. Unfortunately, it landed me here in deportation. I don't know what the future holds. All kinds of uncertainty, but I like to tell myself that, hey, you put here for a reason, and whatever that reason is for a greater cause, and hope that that greater cause will come, and just living off of that positive note, it helps me carry on. It helps me move forward in a way where I don't have to stress as much, because living a life of uncertainty, I mean, I've done that my whole incarceration, and I felt like, I mean, doing it again, repeating that cycle is not, I mean, it didn't work. So I'm here now, and I'm just excited to see where this leads.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I know for some folks who may be watching, or even some of our regulars here, when we were sort of talking leading up to this conversation, Karen had shared, a couple different articles that had featured you and had shared a little bit about your story, as well as the documentary called The Prison Within. And I'm just going to pop that up on the screen here. I actually had a chance to watch this yesterday. And I got to say, it was very impactful. And, for me, as a person who doesn't have a lot of knowledge or experience like with the prison system and what that experience is like, especially for folks who are serving life sentences. And then, just learning more about sort of this restorative programming that you had gotten involved with while you were incarcerated. And I got to say, I definitely recommend this documentary for folks to check out. And I'm going to drop that link in our chat here. So folks should be able to actually view that for free if they click that link. Yes, that went in there. And so I'm kind of wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your experience with that, um, you know, and whatever, of course, you want to share with your incarceration and how you ended up getting involved, like with this documentary, with the programming that had that restorative justice focus and what that has meant to you.
Yeah, so I mean, after like 12 years of my incarceration and doing a life sentence, man, I felt like, I mean, life had really no meaning and no purpose, you know? And I was on a level 4 yard where it's high security. There's a lot of violence, a lot of, you can imagine all the stories you see on TV. That was what was happening on yard. And as I was going through my life, living, trying to survive, trying to just survive as best as I can and do my time. It came on the 12th year when I received news from home that my sister was murdered. You know, I mean, this came at a time where I felt really like I'm gonna die in prison anyways. What the hell? Nothing really matters. I really had no meaning, no purpose. You know what I mean? So when I heard this news, man, I was in the cell by myself. I picked up the letter and read it. It was from my older sister. She said, "Hey, your sister was murdered, man, by a jealous boyfriend. She was shot in a parking lot and left to die." And just receiving that news, I mean, I felt like all the air was like I got punched and all the air was sucked out of me. Like my foundation was rocked. I felt like my knees buckled, you know? And and right when the shock happened, I went from just like trying to maintain, trying to stay on my feet to really anger. I was pissed. I was mad. I was like, man, why? Who? How? All this stuff happened and it crossed my mind. And then when anger went away, it went to hatred. I'm like, I'm gonna kill this dude, whoever done this. And after hatred came, you know, man, rage, and then sadness kicked in. So I went in this whirlwind of just all different kinds of emotions. And when I was sad, I was like, man, I just didn't know what to do, how to deal with this. The pain was so strong. It was like the first time I cried in years. And I sat with that for like maybe a week with all the emotions going up and down. And when things kind of just settled down a little bit, all the stuff that I was feeling, all the pain, all the hurt, and all the anger, I started thinking about my mom. I was like, man, what would it feel like for her to lose a daughter like that in such a violent way? And I thought about my brothers and sister, same thing. And it didn't dawn on me until that happened and all this pain that I was feeling, a seed of I don't know, of understanding what the victim's family must have felt like. Because I took somebody's life as well. I've done a drive-by shooting and I took a life. And this was the first time that I thought to myself, man, there's gotta be something better to life than just how I'm living, even though I'm incarcerated. I gotta find that meaning again. I don't wanna hurt anybody again. That was the first seed of empathy that I felt. So when you talk about the film and documentary, this is my turning point. This is restorative in understanding what does it feel like to feel pain on the other end. So this is my first taste of pain that I really do not want to cause anybody again. So when that happened, some time went on. I got transferred to another prison. And then this other prison, we had so much programming and stuff. And I told myself, hey, you owe it to yourself. You said you don't want to hurt nobody no more. To just take some time to better yourself, to see what else is out there in life, although you're in prison. So I started investigating programs, started educating myself. You know what I mean? I wanted to do it to honor my sister, to also honor myself and the person that I've killed. So I took this program called Vogue, Victim Offender Education Group. This was the first time I was allowed to really speak about what led to my crime, what all the events that happened that led to my violent behavior. So I had to unpack, what does it mean for me when war happened? I was deported. How did that impact me? How did that transition in with life in the ghetto of Long Beach, California? Trying to survive, trying to fit in, trying to find an identity. What does that look like? How did that shape my mind and the way I felt in order for me to really, really understand all this had played a factor in me committing a crime? So this program also helped me understand the victim's pain. And just from this program alone, it helped me grow and did so much reflection that I continued on. So when the documentary wanted to do a piece on restorative and what it meant for guys like myself who did commit a serious crime, I took the opportunity to speak on it. I took the opportunity to show that, hey, man, change can happen. Remorse can happen. So when I was asked, you know, man, at first I was slightly hesitant at first. I was like, man, being on camera, talking about such deep and hard topics like this, I wasn't sure if I was ready to publicly share like that, you know. And then when I took the opportunity to do it, I was like, you know what? This is another stepping stone to my own personal healing. If I could use my story, my situation, and symbolically somebody could reflect on my situation and feel the pain that I feel, maybe I can inspire one or two lives. And if I can do that, I feel it's well worth the time and effort to give my time to tell my story.
Thank you for that. That was wonderful. That was a lot of what I wanted to hear from you. I wanted to really understand where the change was, because it's obvious there's been a big change in you. And thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. I'm glad you did that. I am a very strong believer in living through example. The only things that I feel that we can control in life are our own actions, right? And I feel like there's a lot of times in my life where we get so overwhelmed with everything that's going on around us and in the world, and we're like, what can we do to change it? And the honest answer is all we can do is change ourselves and be better folks and be that example, and hopefully that inspires other people or helps other people. We never know how many people we affect in this world. And I'm glad that you took the time to do that, and you realize that, like, this is another piece in your healing, another piece that you could do for that. And you being a living example is so important. And I just want to say thank you for that. And that you're continuing to figure it out is amazing work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well. I mean, doing this is beyond just doing it for me. I mean, like I said, I'm in this new world, living this new life with an uncertain future, not knowing what's going on. But one thing I can control is what can I do now with any opportunity that's presented to me. Take it and run with it. You know, like you say, you know what I mean? I don't know how many lives can I impact with just my story. You know, if anything, doing stuff like this is also a way for me to really not only continue to do what I set up myself to do, but it's to find my own personal healing. The more I speak on it, the more lives I can impact. Whether I can impact or not, I know that I can really heal from what I've done in the past. I should never forget what I've done, but I can live and learn from it. And the only way to do that is to speak about it.
Yeah, thank you. I second what Dex say. Being in your situation, I can't imagine how difficult it will be just realizing what you did and your journey to fix. We're human beings. Nobody's perfect. I'm a father. I'm not the perfect father. I'm a husband. I'm not the perfect husband, and we make mistakes, and sometimes life it's difficult, and specifically where you're from, when you're maybe in a country that's not yours, when you live in a community where there's not a lot of resources, and I would love to hear from you. I hear you got support. You get into some programming in prison, but family wise, do you get a lot of support from your family and friends, or a lot of that people disappear, at that moment? That I assume that's probably what happened. But how was your journey with your family? Have you been able to talk to your family about this more in deep, so they can have a better understanding what you're going through and the impact that you're doing now in others? Because what you're saying, you're inspiring other people that maybe are going through the same journey that you went through, and realizing that we're humans and we all always deserve a second chance, and make things better. And it's unfortunately sometimes when we get to those points, but we all deserve a second chance. So have you been able to, to close that with your friends, even with those other gang members maybe that were with you? How was that process with them? Have you Can you talk a little bit about it? And I don't know if I was
Yeah.
being clear with the
Mhm.
questions.
Yeah, I think I understand your question. So, what's it like for the people who's impacted by my situation now? You know, you mentioned family and the community. I am so humbled by the support that I've gained when I got deported. Right around my deportation, the community members kind of came together and rallied, and pushed and trying to keep me home. I mean, it is so humbling, just to think about all the people who stood by my side, all the people who, I don't know, man, the love. My family had just, we became even closer, even though we're apart, you know? It wasn't, like I said, it's 25 plus years, and it wasn't until the 20th year when I finally saw my mom and dad. Yeah. And then I get to see them after that. But the part that really hurts is I know that I've done a lot for people, and people has done a lot for me. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye, man. You know, I went from prison to ICE facility to deportation. I wanted more than anything, man, just to have coffee with the people who was there for me, when I was inside, who helped me in my journey. I wanted to sit down and hug my mom and dad one time and tell them, hey, I, I love you, man. You don't get to hear that from me too often, but I love you. I'm trying my best to make you proud again. And I'm sorry for all the hardship I put you through because of my incarceration. And more than anything, I wanted to have that conversation and give to them. I know they love me, but just to give that, to show, to say it out loud, in person, to hug them. I didn't get a chance to do that. So that haunts me. But it's also a good and bad because, like I said, being separated also made us closer. I stay connected with them. I mean, through video. I stay connected with my brothers and sister a lot more than I did when I was in prison. My family, my friends as well. The community who came together to try to support me, trying to keep me home. I get to say my thank yous through video. So, and of course, some has also left and lived their own lives, which is good. Like, man, that's what happened. You're supposed to live. I've met you in prison. You did time. Me seeing you thrive in the community makes me feel with joy, makes my heart feel fuller. So it's okay if you depart and we don't see each other. As long as I hear that you're doing good, you're living, that's all I can ask. As long as you're living the right way as well. Yeah.
Gosh, thanks for sharing that. I honestly can't imagine what that would have been like to just not even get that time with family after being separated for so long, like serving your sentence and then just bam, you're gone into this place that you don't probably have any knowledge of or memories of, having left as such a young person. And yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And I also the part where you were sharing about like some of the people that you um, met, while you were incarcerated, who were also, kind of going through this restorative program with you, and like them getting out. That was a part of the documentary, right? Where it did at the end, it showed a lot of these guys who have gone through this process. Restorative justice, I think people, define that in different ways. And I think culturally speaking, indigenous folks have been the ones throughout history who have used restorative justice in the way that we talk about it now. And so I'd be curious. It's interesting to think about a person kind of like deciding, making a choice to step into a program like this, where I can't remember how long it was, but it seemed like it was like maybe a year and a half or almost 2 years. So maybe you could speak to that. But, just making that decision to get involved and to really dig deep about the harm that you had caused, about like what had gotten you to that place where it was possible for you to enact that violence, right? And then really like what you're talking about, go through this healing process of trying to reconnect with empathy and trying to, or being able to imagine, from the other side, like the victim side of being, a family member and losing someone to more violence. And one of the things that, I think a lot of people talk about, and they did mention this a lot in the documentary, is like the concept of hurt people hurt people. And they really spoke to like how our current prison system is just not designed to actually help folks heal and come back and be safe, and good members of community again once folks come out. And so I guess I don't know if I'm like forming an actual question at this point, but just thinking about you and the others who have fully gone through this type of programming and have experienced the transformation that you have. And then now a lot of them, having come out, are doing work like this and are coming back into their communities and working with youth or working through their churches and really wanting to like be active in holding themselves accountable for the harm that they had caused, as well as like, y'all are still members of community when you come out. Like, and so what does that look like? for folks to come back and to come back in a healed way, right? I think that that's so. It's just not the story for most folks who spend time in prison and then come out, and then we see a lot of folks reoffending and causing more harm, rather than having the chance to do some healing, to do some of that deeper work. So I'd just be curious, what's coming up for you after that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, many prison is broken. I mean, the way they fix, the way they heal folks, sometimes is non-existent, you know? I feel like my best pitch to that is, why not offer an opportunity for guys who has walked that walk, who has done really internal work, you know what I mean? Allow them to come back in to help the men inside. They have the understanding because they've been there, you know? I mean, that it would be such a way that more healing can happen. It will also help fix the broken system. So, I mean, that's just one way. I mean, and then why not help them even more and give them, as guys who's going home, help them figure out like what is their joy, what is their meaning, what's their purpose, and then help them find a job based on what they say. You know what I mean? So that way they have a hunger and desire to do what they love. I mean, of course, I mean, it's like, I don't want to say they have to figure it out on their own and all that, but sometimes they need a little guidance, so that way they won't walk in and out the prison doors. And man, it's so much to be done. You know what I mean? And I'm doing my little part, my contributions from overseas, and I'm trying to find work in the States as well, because I feel like that's where I committed my harm. That's where the community I caused havoc to at one point in time. I want to make things right as best as I can. I want that opportunity, I've been a counselor. I want to do work with domestic violence, both from the survivor and the perpetrator or the person who caused harm. I want to really talk to them, like understand, like, hey, I know you didn't just wake up one day and decide to beat somebody up or hurt somebody real bad. Help me understand so I can help you not do this again. You know what I mean? So much work to be done. I think there's hope though. I mean, you guys are there and I'm here, and all I hear and see is what's on the news, and people in society are hurting bad. Nothing has changed in 10 years. Although I've been inside the news and all that, nothing has changed. I feel like it's even worse because nobody's sweeping it under the rug no more. They're blatantly doing it in front of your face now. You know what I mean? So I don't know, not sure about the answer, man, but I know that given me the opportunity, I would definitely try my part just to heal folks, because restorative justice, like you said, is far beyond, no matter how you take it. I mean, whether it's indigenous or whether it stems from prison and victims, the core concept of restorative justice is healing after harm. That's it. Everybody has harmed somebody. Everybody needs healing from that, whether it's in your own household or co-workers or people in the community and society. Restorative justice needs to be global.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm hearing I'm hearing your willingness and wanting to do work and to help and to do some transformation and to influence other folks. And from what it sounds like, it sounds like you're just like you're in this stuck point because it's like you're in this other country that you have no affiliation with, and you're trying to create a life, and you're just like, how can I do this? And I have no reference, no anything here, right? What do you think you can you're doing by like coming on here and talking to us and doing other engagements like this is definitely something that's helpful and something that you said you want to do and you feel is important. How else do you think, given your situation right now, what else do you think you can do to influence, or what do you want to say to folks using this platform? Because this is what you have as an opportunity to do some work. How do you want to use this platform right now to say other further things that can be influential or helpful that you think that will help? And what else do you think you can do, or what do you need support in? You can use this platform to ask for folks to step up and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. Reach out to me, help me do this thing. Use this opportunity, use us to help you. What do you want? What do you need?
I mean, I appreciate that because there's so much that I feel like I can still give. I mean, far beyond just like shows like yours. I mean, this just gave me a platform, right? I can still do help in the school system. You know what I mean? I can speak to troubled youth. You know what I mean? I can speak to survivors of domestic violence. I can speak to incarcerated population. Those are all something that I feel like there's work that can be improved in all those fields. Although I have to do it through via video, which is fine. I feel like I could use more work and do what I love and need to be given that opportunity. I mean, and then on a personal level, like I'm still trying to make it back home. I still have a campaign, and we're trying to fight to get back. I need support letters. You know what I mean? I need people to reach out to their elected officials and see if they can make a few phone calls to the governor here in California. Because he can sign off on my pardon, I can return. And other personal is I'm still trying to survive. I mean, a little donation would help. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a struggle out here. You went from a really wealthy country to a country that is starting to grow. They're like maybe 25 years behind. So you can imagine how different that is. And when I speak about, hey, I want to be a counselor, they're like, yeah, that's great. Speak about restorative justice, yeah, that's great. But how is that going to help me feed my child for the day or for the next week? So I'm glad that you are talking about this, but it's hard to actually grasp what I like to do here, so it makes it difficult. I mean, of course, there's always ways somewhere, but it's just not priority here, so definitely speaking engagement. If I can get into the schools, the criminal justice, you know what I mean, domestic violence, youth programs. I mean, I'm game. I mean, that will help me not only like give back and really feel like I have purpose and meaning again, but it also is a personal, I don't know, it's part of my personal therapy, I guess. I hope I answered your questions.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. All human beings deserve to be loved and respected even when we make mistakes. But I have a question for you. What kind of message you have for those young folks or masculine folks out there that are maybe in gangs right now? They're living, maybe that lifestyle that you lived before, maybe looking in that search for family, for friend, from that space that maybe, they're joining gangs right now, maybe making bad decisions. What kind of message you have for them that hopefully can help them lift, maybe rethink what they're doing, and hopefully don't make the same mistakes that sometimes we all humans make?
Yeah, that's a great question because me looking back at my lifestyle, you know what I mean? The gang life I lived and which led me to commit a drive-by shooting, and prison and all that. I, reflecting back, I would just ask myself, man, um, what is it that you needed? You know, what is was missing in your life? And if you can replace that things that was missing, I want you to replace it with this. Understand that you have value. Understand that you have self-worth and love yourself, right? Because the bottom line is when I committed that crime is because I didn't love myself. So when somebody caused harm to me not loving myself was easy for me to not love the next person because I didn't care about myself. So I saw him as dirt. I saw him as the bottom, So it was easy for me to take vengeance on him, take out all the anger I had because I didn't value myself. So I'll tell the kids, man, what is it that you need in your life, man? And if you can replace it with self-love, man, really, really love yourself. It's hard to love anybody else without loving yourself, man, first. And that's hard to find because you're still trying to search for masculinity, identity. You know what I mean? You're still putting on that face, trying to prove yourself this is that. It's because you're hiding from something, but you don't have to hide from nothing when you can find something that you value about yourself. I mean, if I have a chance to talk to one of them, I'll be like, man, what do you appreciate about yourself? And if he said, yeah, I work hard when I play basketball, man, I would just drill in on him on that. You know why you work hard on that? Because you respect yourself and you don't want to lose. You know what I mean? And when you respect yourself, you don't want to lose, you love yourself and remember that you love yourself. And work from there. I don't know, man. It's just, I mean, my style might not work for everybody, for every kid, but you know what I mean? It's a starting point, Appreciate that
Thank,
question.
thank you.
Yeah, I think so much of what you're sharing, like I think about programs that I'm aware of, like Men as Peacemakers is where I work at. And we have a program that focuses on restorative justice practices and using the circle process to work with repeat offenders of domestic violence. So these folks have been convicted and incarcerated, and then they're coming back and then causing more harm. And it's like this cycle, right, where they're the revolving door, so to speak, of like prison and then causing harm and then back. And we've talked a little bit about how the current system is not designed for healing or to help support those folks in that. And I just think there's so much to it, what you shared about like what did you need at that point that you weren't getting, that you didn't have that support at the time. And I think that comes up so often in the circles that I've been a part of within our programming, and that I've heard colleagues talk about, is like every single one of these people has a story of experiencing harm or experiencing not having the resources or the capability to, change their circumstances and to succeed in this life. I mean, we know this country is not set up, for all folks, right? And it's just, I don't know, I keep coming back to that. Like, it just seems so obvious in my brain and in my heart that, like, we can't actually deal with this problem of violence unless we're dealing with those root causes that allow people to get to that point where they either don't think about it, or they're not, they don't have that like deep belief that, like, yes, violence is okay, but that violence is still happening. And so I just think it's really powerful thinking about if you come at it from an approach of healing versus like this approach of punishment that, our country takes with like the prison systems. It's like 180, right? If we actually see and value each person and like see people's dignity as human beings and their worth, like you're saying, that self-worth. I mean, I struggle with that myself, my own self-worth. That's something every day that I'm trying to grow and trying to get more familiar and connected with, like, what are the values that I believe in that guide my life. And so, I think everyone can. Some traffic noise there. But yeah, I think a lot of folks can relate to that of like doing, like, we need to do that work within ourselves as individuals. And then there's also this other piece of like healing within community, right? Like within those groups in the prison. Like, it wasn't just you talking to another person, it was a group of folks really sharing their experiences and sharing where they were at on their healing journey. And I think none of us can heal unless we have those connections, those people who are sharing, this was my experience. Here are some of the steps that I took that helped me get to this place of being more healed. Because I don't know if we can become fully healed as humans, like in our lifetimes. I think there's always stuff that we can be sort of working on. But gosh, I guess just a lot of what you're saying is resonating with me, and we have very different experiences in life. And I think that's so beautiful. And I feel like that's the route that we as humans need to be reconnecting with, is like community and healing and doing that together. So I just really appreciate what you've shared here today. And like I said, 60 minutes really flies by. I know we're coming up on our little 10-minute warning here. So I want to give folks kind of a last chance to share any thoughts or comments, Felix and Dex, and then Phoeun, for you to, like, if there's anything that we've missed, if there's something that you really want to be heard or want to share, like, I would love to give you a little bit of that space. So I just want to share deep gratitude that we can literally be across the world and having these conversations together and learning together and growing together. So thank you.
Thank you, man. And when you said that piece about, we're one in a community, you know what I mean? It also takes the community's help too, to stop that revolving door, to help a person to heal after he leaves the system. He needs to make sure he can go home and have a place to stay, have a job, have clothing, community support that he can walk to and be like, hey, and feel like it's okay without being judged. Like, hey, I need medical. I need whatever, you know what I mean? And it goes hand in hand. It's just the unfortunate part is sometimes the community lacks the help, you know what I mean? Sometimes, but there's also great organizations that's willing to open their arms up, be like, hey, come on, we got you. So it takes community help as well as that person willing to help himself as well. And what you've missed that I've I don't know. I've said a lot, and I'm trying to think. Man, I need that support, man. I do miss you guys. I do miss home, and it's definitely a challenge over here. And although I know I will eventually overcome and adjust, just like prison, just like life, um, still somehow, some way, my heart is still over there. It's all I know. I felt like when I was deported, I was given another life sentence, you know. And some people are gonna say, "Hey, but you've committed a crime. You deserve what you got coming." And all I can say to that is, man, does two wrong make a right? Can I have an opportunity to make society better? The society that I cause harm to. And that's my ask. Whether it happens or not, who knows?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. This must be tough. I have some loved ones that have been in the prison system, and them going back to society. It's really hard, just because all doors are closed. There's not that many opportunities to find a decent job, even for everything, to purchase a home, etc. And I think we need to rethink that, and left voices like the one that we listen today, so we can create more awareness about that, and be sure to live in societies that have a better understanding, and we can support each other in better ways. Not that you, after spend 25 years in prison, then you cannot even find a job, and how that person can be better when you're still struggling, and I know we have the capacity to do that, and I hope with this opportunity, listen to this story, and having this conversation, hopefully we can lift those voices and hopefully start making those changes so our communities are stronger, and we can support better each other and have a better understanding of trauma. And yeah, so thank you for sharing your story. It's an honor for me to be here and listen to your story. If there's any way we can support you, please let us know. Thank you.
Well, I hope to stay in touch with you guys and maybe do a follow-up story. I don't know. Continue my work and maybe join one of your organization and do some collaboration work. Um, Whatever. I'm open and willing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say a few quick words. I really like the fact that you mentioned community, and that it does, it takes community to, I mean, the fact of the matter is that we've all, as a society, we all started from community base, right? And then all these systems were created, and as we know, they have failed us in many ways, and we always have to come back to relying on each other. And I think we forget how important it is, that on supporting each other. And those come in all different ranges, right? There's going to be the folks that you're closest to, and then there's going to be like kind of rings out of, but we can all support and show up in different ways to our ability. And you're right, like it needs to start there. Like it needs to start, like you said, as soon as you get out, it's like, okay, do I have a place to stay? You know, is there someone who can give me food? It's just like it's the basics, because that's what we need first before we can do anything grandiose, right? And I just want to reiterate that like we need to come together as communities and contribute what we have the capacity for. And it doesn't need to be huge, just little contributions of what we can do, whether it's something physically, monetary, whatever it is, what works for us. We know what we can give, and we need to give those things. And I just want to speak out to the community that, whatever way you can give to help would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think the other thing that you brought up is when it comes to communities, like, and the system. It's like, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I just slipped my mind just now. So go ahead.
No worries, that happens to me all the time. It'll probably come back and send us an email, and then maybe, like you said, maybe that is, we would love to have you come back and to sort of check back in with you to see where you're at in a few months, and if your needs for support or your asks for support have changed or if they're still the same. And I just want to say to all of our viewers as well, we're going to make sure that we add in links and information where you can support or you can send a donation to help Phoeun where he's at right now. And I'm already thinking about checking in with our restorative person here at MAP, because I know with COVID,
I love that.
we've been able to, do stuff virtually, right? We really have bumped up that ability, and we work with community volunteers in that program. So I know they're always looking for more folks, and I think all of us have those little ways, right, where we can think, oh, hey, I know that person who knows a little bit about that. Let's make that connection, right? It doesn't have to mean I'm donating financially. There's so many ways, I think, that you shared and that folks can think of, after the fact or after hearing this conversation and can realize, oh, this is actually a way that I can help. And so, yes, definitely take a look down below in the description. If you're watching this later on YouTube, we'll add it into our Facebook description as well, because we really do want to be able to connect you with those supports and the people who are able to do that. So we want to just thank you again, Phoeun, for joining us for our 63rd live kitchen table conversation here with the Men and Masculine Folks Network. We're so grateful for these conversations, and we want to thank all of our regulars here, folks who are not here, Ed, Pang, Serrano, some of the folks you all have gotten to see and gotten to know. Always sending love to folks who can't join us and are off doing their thing. Always sending love and support. We also want to thank all of you for tuning in and for joining the conversation with us and taking the time to learn and to listen to Phoeun's story and the impact that he is now trying to have back in community. It's just, I think us sharing our stories is really how we can grow and how we can really become better assets to our communities, wherever that's at. So thank you to all of our viewers for tuning in. We also want to say thank you to our funding partners, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota, as well as the Novo Foundation for all of their support and partnership in us continuing to host these live kitchen table conversations. And for those of you who have been following us, you know this, but new folks, we host these conversations every other Thursday is our typical schedule at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on Facebook. And then they are also available on our YouTube channel as well. You can watch all 63 conversations. Make some time and do that. We highly recommend some of our previous conversations to check out. This next time, though, we will have a slight change in our schedule. A couple of us, Felix and myself, will be hosting a training during our time 2 weeks from now. So our next conversation will be on August 24th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we will be welcoming yet another amazing guest star to the table, my friend Robin Isaacs, who is going to talk a little bit more about the work they do with a group that they helped start called the Trans Mask Collective. So we definitely hope that you can all join us a little less than a month from now and to hear that conversation. And lastly, if you are someone who tunes into these conversations, we would love to hear from you. are there topics that you want us to take on and to have a conversation here at the kitchen table? Please reach out to us. You can reach me at Sean Hayes at menaspeacemakers.org, and I will link that below. We would love to have those topics and those ideas and questions and to bring them into our conversations. And you, if you want to come on and be a part and join us as a guest star, we would also love to talk with you more about that and get some new folks into the kitchen table. So don't forget to like our Facebook page here. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Very excited to just continue connecting with all of you and to continue holding these conversations that are just so important for all of us to learn and grow and to be able to practice a new form of masculinity that really is deeper and more caring than a lot of us have been taught. So thank you again to all of you. Thank you again, Phoeun, for joining us. We wish you well, and hopefully you're going to maybe just go to sleep after this, but definitely looking forward to staying connected with you in the future as well. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
We'll see
you
in
guys
about
have
a
a
month.
good day or whatever. Thank you always. Yeah.